So the question remains, at least for me, exactly what effects did Eddie Van Halen use on the intro, specifically on the intro of Ain't Talking About Love? I have grown up my entire life assuming that it was a phaser, specifically a script phase 90 from that era. I've played that song live many, many times in my life, and that's what I've always used as a phaser, always. Because it sounded right to me in my rig. I've since stumbled on a debate with other people in the guitar community over whether or not this was actually, whether or not that's actually the case. Because some people, I've discovered are claiming they used the MXR Flanger for that riff. And then, yet even more people claim that he used the phase 90 on the riff, but he turned on the MXR Flanger for the last three notes of the riff. The final CBC notes that he used, and of course he's tuned down about a quarter step. So I've already done one video on my channel regarding this, but I did not explore the flanger used on the last three notes theory. I talked about it, and quite honestly, it just seems really, really unorthodox to me. Who the hell turns on an effect pedal for three notes three notes of one riff? It just doesn't make sense to me. But more so than that, Eddie Van Halen, of course, was very unorthodox when it came to his use of outboard effects in his guitar rig, and he was also really, really secretive about it. He'd tell you he did one thing here, and then a year or two later he'd tell you he did something different. So then that's just kind of the way he operated. He was really, really protective of his trade secrets. But it's, again, kicking on an effects pedal for three notes has never made a whole lot of sense to me. But more than that, it's the sweep of the actual riff is what always kind of made me question it, because when in the opening riff, if you're listening to just those three notes, we'll sing, for the sake of example, we'll single out those last three notes of the riff, the CBC. On the first one, you can hear the sweep go up. And then when it comes back around again the second time, you can hear the sweep going back down, which seems to indicate to me that the pedal, a pedal, whatever it is, has been left on through the entire, throughout the entire riff. Because generally when you kick on a warbly effects pedal, from the minute it's going to turn on, it's going to start on the upward sweep, if you will. So I'm going to experiment with that. There's also the theory that those three notes are also more pronounced than the rest of the notes in the riff, leading people to believe that the flanger was in fact engaged just for those three notes. Now, I personally think that was just a combination of his picking, the dynamics of his picking hand combined with the tubes in his Marshall, that are why they sound a little bit louder. But I don't know. We're going to see. I am using. I don't have this. The same vintage effects that Eddie used on that record, but I do have an MXR Phase 95, which encompasses basically all the MXR Phase 90. Phaser sounds throughout their history. And I'm also using the Joyo Classic Flanger, which, despite being a very inexpensive pedal that you can get for about 30 or 40 bucks, it's, basically a clone of the MXR Flanger that he supposedly used, and sounds really, really close. Even has the same control layout. So I'm going to run the riff through a looper, and we're going to play around with these pedals for a little bit and see what we hear. I am suddenly on the fence now because, you know, I'll be honest with you, I was banking on my sweep theory holding up for me, and quite honestly, you know, at least with this classic flanger, you know, it does seem to be kind of an internal, an internal clock within the pedal, and wherever that clock is, whenever you kick it on, that's where it starts. You know, so there are some times when I turned it back on that it started on the downward sweep, for lack of a better description anyway. I don't know. I may have been wrong. I still say the Phase 95 was definitely used throughout that entire riff, but those 3 notes, that may have been with a flanger. I'm beginning to reconsider my my theory on this. I don't know, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure that we'll ever know. But the flanger on the 3 note theory seems to be a little bit stronger than I thought it was. Like I said, I don't think we'll ever know. Read the comments on this video as well as the one that I did on the topic about a month ago, and you're going to see just how many different opinions are out there. You know, and that's another thing that's kind of made me rethink my stance on all this, thinking, does anybody really know for sure? You know, again, Eddie Van Halen was known to be really, really secretive with his tone, his tone tricks. So he did not release too many of his tricks of the trade, for example. Matter of fact, when he first came out with his 2-handed tapping method, he would turn around on stage and face his amplifier so nobody could see what he was doing. He was very, very protective of his trade secrets. But that's one of the things that made Eddie Van Halen, and that's one of the reasons why we all love him. So, like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I'm curious to hear what everybody thinks, and I'm going to go ponder this further. We'll see you in the next video.